Algorand, 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 large amounts, digital left the physical space, the community had to be great.
What is going on, everybody? We've got JT here, we've got David over at Crypto for Change, and we've got C Will with the Passive Income Network. This is Algorand Mondays. What's going on, guys?
What is
Man.
going on?
All right, what's good? JT, again, I love the DJing. Always get me hyped.
It's a hyped intro. It's a hyped intro. So, how's everyone feeling today?
Pretty good. We're seeing Bitcoin bouncing back up a little bit, although it still has been in the same range for like what feels like forever. But you know, it's looking good. Maybe we're going to get that relief rally if Bitcoin can do what it needs to do and get above like probably 32, 33K.
Yep. Yeah, it's possible. It's totally possible. It's nice to finally see a little some green, even though it's not not all that much at all. But of course, we had what 7, 8, 9 weeks of red in a row. So we'll
Yeah.
take what we can get at this point. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Bitcoin, senior post, JT, it did cross the 29, which means it did not go 10 weeks straight, right?
Right.
Yep, 100%. I can
That's good. That's
pull it
good.
up over here if you'd like to see it. Let's see. We can.
Always watching Bitcoin.
Yeah, you have to. Unfortunately, even though a lot of us, there's many of us that don't think Bitcoin is the tech that's going to survive. As of right now, it's still the biggest and most liquid asset in the market, so it's very important to look at. And yeah, as you can see here, we're starting our second week of green, which is good to see. Maybe we will have a relief bounce, get to the top of this channel. I'm guessing maybe around 36, 37,000, bounce off this moving average right here and top of the channel, and likely follow the trend back down because of the macro headwinds. But still a good relief bounce nonetheless. If we break this trend line, then I'll be pretty excited to maybe start being bullish again. But the trend line is still down, regardless of even getting to 36, 37. We'd still be in a downtrend. So I wouldn't get too excited if we do that. But certainly nice to see regardless.
Oh yeah, I feel like if Bitcoin can get back to that trend line, the top of that trend line, and we can see maybe 37, 38K Bitcoin, I think that's a possibility of maybe seeing, Algorand get back up to in the 50 cents to 60 cent range. But like you said, that's probably unless it gets over that and sets that and breaks through it, we're possibly still looking at coming back down on the other end and could see even that potential bigger fall, which I think could play out, in the coming weeks.
Yeah, 100%. And we haven't been below. We're below the 100-week moving average now. We started that in the beginning of May, and that's the first time we're below this moving average since really the pandemic lows. And as you can see, realistically, most downturns we land on the 200-week moving average here in the light blue. The pandemic lows brought us down to the 300, just in Black Swan event. But typically, 2017. The 2018 bear market landed on the 200 week. The 2014 bear market, 2015 landed on the 200 week. So it's a pretty solid support zone, and it keeps moving up with time. So now it's at $22,400. So that's the
Yep.
200 week moving average currently, which isn't a terribly far path down from here if we do revisit that. If we hit the top of this this trend line here and move sideways for a little bit, that gives time for this 200-week moving average to come up a little bit more and maybe be around 25,000, 26,000 when it finally comes back down and touching it. But I do certainly believe like 90% that we are still eventually going to touch this 200-week moving average, whether it's soon around the 22,000 range or a couple months from now and it's around 26,000 or what have you, is yet to be seen. But I have a huge suspicion that we're going to land back on that again.
Yeah, and JT, me and you have even said like, well, I know I feel like Algorand's going, or not Algorand, Bitcoin is probably going to see a bottom this time if it sticks to that trend and it doesn't break out and we don't see another black swan event like we saw with COVID's crash. But if we see what has happened in other ones, I think 21 to 23K Bitcoin could be the bottom, even if it's a wick down. It may bounce back up to 25K, but wick down into that 21 to 23 range. And then I do think Algorand as well possibly could then wick down as far as anywhere between 15 cents to 25 cents, somewhere in there, hopefully finding, support. And then, we're on, at least from there, moving on up throughout the rest of this bear market, crypto winter, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'll mostly agree. I mean, as you can see right here, I'll make these lines a little thicker just so people can actually see. Let's see right here. Make that a solid line. Make this a bigger line. Let's see, make that solid. And we've been in quite a downtrend really since, October, November-ish of last year when we peaked. And I do think we could come and hit the top of this trend line, which would probably be around 50 cents. But like I said, I still think we're going to break down. However, we're on a pretty good diagonal support line right here at the bottom. So that could hold. However, diagonal supports are weaker than horizontal supports for anyone that cares about technical analysis.
I
But
say I definitely care. I was about to have ask you a few things. I'm trying to learn technical analysis right now.
But that being said, there is a huge chance we could continue this channel down. And I've always, I've said for months and months now that I think November could be around where the bottom is, and that's where I have this vertical green line right here predicting my buy, the best buy zone. And as you can see right here in this green shaded area I've shaded in, that's between the two macro bottoms that Algo has had between 9 cents and 16 cents. I'm not saying we're going to get there, but I am saying the path there is
That
being
direction.
plotted. It's
So
so
That would be,
what would that be from the all time high? Like 90 something percent down,
oh
or like
yeah, it would be over
yeah, which
90%.
would be like in range with altcoin drawdowns during a bear market. I mean, you see 70 to 85% drawdowns in Bitcoin, and usually like 90, 95% drawdowns in altcoins, and some of them disappear entirely. So
why are
John,
you on the weekly chart?
if we went down to 16 cents, which would be the second lowest low of Algorand, so probably good, decent support, that'd be 94%. If we went down to the lowest low of about 9, 10 cents, that'd be about 96, 97% from the
Yeah.
high.
and I will
Damn.
say,
So
John Mazzoni, one of the guys in the chat, just said, Decipher was the top, and this is something that I feel like, I
Yeah, but it was the top for everything,
right,
really.
but not to
yeah.
say that, these events are, exit liquidity for some of the big people to really hype people up and get them buying. But, I will say we saw the Bitcoin conference, the price of Bitcoin kind of led up into that conference. And then right when that conference started and everybody, all the hype was there, the price started to tank. And we've even seen that with a few of the other events that have happened with ETH Denver. And I feel like, I'm not saying it's a given, but like, we are seeing a little bit of a run up right before consensus. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on there. I know it's not really Bitcoin centric conference, but it is something to note that there is a lot of hype kind of leading into these conferences. Everybody gets excited about it. Your energy's kind of rejolted. You might start buying again if you're emotional buyers, retail, and that could be a moment where we see another drawdown on the other side, especially as we'll get into at a later point in the show, talking about the CPI data and inflation stuff that's going to be coming out post consensus right into June.
Well, I'll say that was the same thing that happened with the FIFA announcements. Like Algo was definitely pumping at that time. So yeah, every event that's big enough does seem to do a pump. David, you got any longs or shorts with this little pump?
I sold my short when it went to like 36 cents. Wasn't a lot that I made,
Mhm.
but obviously I don't have any shorts open yet. I've been watching this pump. I'm watching Bitcoin to see. I hope Bitcoin kind of runs, with a little bit of the momentum it has. Cause like I said, if Bitcoin can get above 33K, 32.5, 33, I feel like that's possible where it may start to run up to that topper part of the range, be at 37, 38. I think Algorand could then run to 50 cents, 60 cents. And that would be a good spot to maybe take some of the profit I've been buying at the 34 cents, the 35, maybe turn some of those into shorts as we continue back down in that channel. But, like I said,
Yeah,
it's, I don't swing all of it because there's a high chance that we may not get any pump and we may see a lot more red candles. I mean, the green weekly candle for Bitcoin was not even that bullish of a candle. And so we could see just a 1 week, 2 week, relief and then straight back to more red, or we could see, say a spot Bitcoin ETF gets,
Yeah,
pushed through or
pump.
something. I mean, and then that just sends everything pumping. So, I have a little bit of money that I swing with, but at the moment, I don't have any shorts open. I do have obviously some longs at 5 cents, but no shorts right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. I definitely. I'm looking to if we get a pump, I'll do a little short, something small, man. Doing a little here and there. But yeah,
Yeah, I
definitely those
technically
charts
do
though
have
are
a little
going down.
short open, but it's not on Algo. It's on Planets token, which some people might hate me for. But I just think the market's going down in general, so I figured I'd do the most volatile ASA possible. And Folks Finance lets you do that, so I mean, blame them, I guess. uh, that being said, though, I do want to mention that a little bit of hopium here. When you look at the RSI here on the weekly chart for Algorand, you can see here on the last pump here. Let me make this a little bit bigger. You can see here on the last pump and drawdown when we got up to about $1.70 and then came down to about 69 cents. The RSI peaked here and it peaked again here and got rejected. And then eventually, when it finally broke this trend line, that lines up perfectly, literally, with like the perfect time to buy on the next run up that we
Run
had
up.
from about 60 cents to about $3. And I'm plotting the same exact pattern happening here. We bounced off the trend line, we're bouncing off trend line again, and I wouldn't be surprised once we break it and get on the other side of this, which is really close, we could have another run up. But I would say to John's point in the audience, and welcome John, I personally don't think we'll see a top this year in Decipher. I think it's a totally different year, totally different macro environment. It would be nice. I do think we totally could be in for a pump, maybe get us back to $1.50. But I'd be so surprised to see really anything hit all-time highs this year.
Yeah, we got a quantitative tightening still happening, so there's not no
It's
extra money.
quantitative tightening actually just started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
just
started
started.
in
But
June. Yeah.
yeah, well,
Didn't
so
I,
we
I
really
want to
don't have
say
extra money there.
Yeah, I want to say I just read something about like how Japan is like pretty much doing like quantitative easing still. Like they're still like just trying to do it the opposite almost, which also negatively affects other obviously major players in the world. So I don't know. I read a quick blurb about that today. So it's interesting to see what other nations are doing on the global stage with what we're kind of seeing all around, especially with supply chain issues and all that
Yep.
stuff.
Well, China, Shanghai's, their largest port in the world did open back up. So that should affect gas prices more, but also the supply chain should, be a little bit better because of that after
Yeah.
the 2 month lockup.
Yeah, and weirdly enough, though, even though there's a lot of supply chain issues, if you've been listening to any earnings calls recently, and even Kathy Wood of ARK Invest did a great video the other day recapping a lot of earnings calls that she's been listening to and her team's been listening to, even with the supply chains, you'd be surprised how many big retailers actually have very large inventories currently, which actually might help with these quote unquote supply chain issues going forward as well, because the inventory is already so huge.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I wonder, huh?
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
let's talk about quantitative tightening a little bit more. What y'all seeing?
well, I mean, for those that don't know, we've got quantitative easing and we have quantitative tightening. A lot of people have heard of quantitative easing. It's basically when the government just essentially prints a lot of money. It's not exactly that, but it's basically when they're using money to purchase all of these assets and put them onto their balance sheet. So they're essentially, during quantitative easing, the government basically becomes one of the biggest buyers in the market, and it
Yeah.
helps with buying pressure. Quantitative tightening is essentially the opposite, where the government basically offloads its assets on its balance sheet, lets some of them roll over and not repurchase, and they effectively become one of the biggest sellers in the market.
We talking about bonds and things of that nature.
Yeah, and they also have other corporate assets as well. But yeah, it is a lot of bonds, treasuries, things of the sort. Um, but yeah, that being said, that did just start, I think, 2 or 3 days ago or something like that, and
On the
it's
third, right? Yeah.
yeah, on the third, and it's yet to be seen how much they'll do and how much they'll offload off their balance sheet. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting discussion. I know we've got CPI coming up soon. I think on the 10th, I believe.
Yeah.
So 4 days from now, the CPI is coming out, and then the FOMC meetings are on the 14th and 15th. So we'll know about the next rate hike, the federal funds rate hike, on the 15th, probably around like 8:30 in the morning or something like that. I think is when
Yeah.
they do it. Well, that's Eastern Standard Time for anybody curious. So I don't know. It's a wait and see game, really, because I think they're going to do 50 basis point hikes regardless of what the CPI reading is on the 10th. But that reading that comes out on the 10th could guide what they're going to do in July, and August and going forward. So it's a
Yeah.
wait and see.
For sure.
Wow. Yep. Good
Let's
breakdown.
jump in.
Thanks.
I
Yeah,
was just
no,
gonna say, let's jump into the next topic.
jump into the next topic. Let's see. What do we got for the next topic? We've got, oh yeah, our Mark Yusko recap. For anyone that didn't check out our latest interview with Mark Yusko, you definitely should. It was very, very insightful. He comes from a traditional finance background, I believe, Morgan Creek Capital Management and Morgan Creek Digital, which the digital firm they started in 2018, co-founded with people like Anthony Pompliano and what have you. So it's a big firm, big guy, and he's a wealth of knowledge. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But
Oh
what do you guys think of that conversation? Because I really thought it was probably one of my favorite guests I've had on, whether it's this show or my own show, just based on like the amount of insight and knowledge and even history that he brought to the
the
show.
history, man. I think the history was amazing. How he was
Yeah.
breaking down all the connections and giving insights, to how these big institutions are moving and thinking.
Yep.
Um, and I love it when he was talking about like Warren Buffett, uh, how he
Yeah,
really feels about that, and then learning more of the history of that as well.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did
it
throw
was
he
hard.
did throw some shade Warren's
Yeah,
way a little bit.
yeah, he did.
yeah. I feel like, especially for, I know he was probably thinking he was talking too much, but obviously that's why, we want people like that on the show, is because they have such a wealth of knowledge that, we're still learning so much and we don't have as many years behind us, and even
Yep.
not even years of experience, but like this is a CEO of an, like a, a
Big hedge
fund managing
fund. Yeah,
company, right? And not just in traditional investments, but also now in the digital assets, looking to get his new fund going. He said that they're looking at prospects and they're looking at that. Hopefully Algorand makes that cut. I've definitely,
It
sent out some tweets his way to do some more research there.
Well, what was really cool, and he made a mention of it in our video, was essentially that because of the conversation you had with him before our podcast and our podcast, that he's now has people on his team
yep.
looking at Algorand. So you have people on a team of hedge fund managers, decades-long hedge fund managers, with a firm that was founded by big people in the space like Anthony Pompliano, like I said, now looking at Algorand because of these discussions. So in my opinion, it was a win-win all around because, of course, we've got him thinking about Algorand, even though the conversation wasn't necessarily about Algorand, but it also just brought so much to the table. Like, it was a great
Yeah,
discussion.
amazing,
Yeah.
and it's like it's good that we brought up, that the trilemma has been solved on Algorand, so that gets
Yeah,
a perk,
yeah,
and it's
good.
Right.
something.
That was a
Because
Yeah,
good
that's the thing,
interjection by
there's
you.
so many people who really don't know, you get, it's kind of like us, we get so far into Algorand that, we don't always see everything that's going on everywhere else, right? And obviously
Yep.
he's, it's such a head of such a large company. He has people that go do all that. So he may not even
it's
know that they're
research.
looking into X, Y, and Z, but they are. But kind of breaking out one of the big takeaways, I'm actually going to clip this part of the of the show and put it on the Twitter here later, that I wanted to cover on, and just kind of as a recap, was his talk on network effect, right?
Mm,
That right there. And I know we all follow Because You're Bored, and he's super uh, into the whole, Metcalfe's law. Timothy Peterson, I know he's a guy that actually someone in the chat was saying we should have him on next because he's a really big proponent of Metcalfe's law and network effect as far as growth.
Yep.
I just want to, say a few things that Mark said in the interviews, like, the biggest, most valuable things today are not companies, right? But they're networks, which, and they're made valuable by the network growing, right? So Bitcoin, and how much it's grown as a network is where you get the value from it, with people transacting. But he goes on to say, after they said blockchain technology is the operating system for the internet of value, right? So what we're seeing now with Algorand and some of these other blockchains come through is it's going to be the medium with which all value, on the internet is exchanged. He went on to say value is bi-directional. And he says, you can take anything from money, property, art, you can literally digitize anything, right? Tokenize anything, put it on a blockchain, which is immutable, secure, and fast, right? Finality, because right now everything's T plus 2 days, right? Instead,
Yep.
you can have it done in seconds.
yep.
And he obviously goes on to say
Or
that
eight
this
minutes.
evolution of tech will create more wealth than any other wealth creator before it. So that whole segment where it was like a 2 minute talk where he was talking about network effect and whatnot, like it was super good. And like that's one of the biggest things that I pulled away from, is just like how early we really are. Because he said we're right now on that exponential part of, just mooning. And I know everybody thinks that, maybe that's already happened in the price of Bitcoin, But what they're not looking at is the network
The
effect and how
network.
many users Bitcoin has right now versus like compared to like a Facebook, right? Or the internet. Like it's still so early because it's not
Yeah.
even billions yet.
I think what the internet is now 51% of the world.
Yeah.
And blockchain or crypto was what I believe 4 or 5% of
I think
people
it's
who
less than
actually,
that. If
yeah,
there's some of
use
the
it.
things I've seen, maybe 2 to 3%.
Yeah, so we have like hella room to grow in mass adoption. And then with all these, like, no, I'm not the biggest fan of striking the Lightning Network, but it does make sense for the mass adoption. And I do like the point of, bringing that part up. Everybody has different opinions on our sovereignty or how we should use centralized or non-centralized. But either way, Bitcoin is being adopted. So that's huge.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely helps the space grow. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. So of course, there's some cons to the Lightning Network, but there's certainly some pros to it too. And I know David was trying to remember or think about how much how many assets under management Morgan Creek Digital has or Morgan Creek Capital in general, but they have about $2 billion in
Damn.
in discretionary and non-discretionary assets on their balance sheet. So it's certainly not a small fry hedge fund with small fry people. So I'm very
Big.
fortunate. I'm very fortunate he took the time to come out of his out of his day to come on the show because it was truly a great discussion.
Man,
Yeah.
like,
What was
yeah,
your all
I
favorite
think,
parts?
Honestly, the two parts that I recapped on my Twitter probably were my favorite parts because like that realistically like it was funny but like honestly almost insightful because when he said that the part where men basically see things that are moving. So like he gave the example. You go to the fridge, you look for the ketchup, you can't find it. Your wife comes over, opens up the fridge, it's right there. And then he made the point that women, statistically by the studies, are better investors than men, almost for that very reason. Because the men come in when we see the price moving and going up to the right, we're like, oh, let's jump in on that train. Where they're just looking fundamentally like, all right, this is the catch-up. Like this is it. This is where I'm going to park my funds, and now we're going
Right.
to wait.
it is
So
like dating with men. Yeah, they're looking for a good man,
well,
not a man that's on the grind.
and I like how he made the point too. It's like it's almost natural because we're hunter gatherers at heart. So like it makes sense. We see things that are moving, and yeah, I'm sure we can all relate to that little example there. To be honest.
Right. And full disclosure, Will, when you asked, if I'm shorting or longing, I'll have to run that by my wife later today, and I'll let you know what we're doing.
That's a good one. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I got to talk to my wife more about all this shit.
Man, I need to
I
get a
could have done
wife.
better.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Consensus. You got to get there. There's got to be some girls there that'll show
yeah.
up and
Get
go
that
I
into
know. I
consensus.
know. I mean, the analytics show that it's like 100% men watching. So how you doing, guys? I know we've got Mel here, so she's like the 1% that might not be, and I appreciate that. But
Oh, no, I want to give a couple shout outs. Shout out to Eva Silva. I'll be working with her on some projects. So big shout out. Love to see the women up in the chat.
oh yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that Algorand's actually making an effort to expand the diversity in the space because it really is a male dominated space as much as it kind of happens naturally, but it would be nice to see more diverse thought in this space.
Yeah, definitely. One of these days we have to get a female project leader or something on our show because it would be pretty cool.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I'm
but
down to
what's
have.
kind of
Yeah, go for it.
no, I was just gonna make a joke, but I was thinking about he's like women are great investors, and I was like Kathy Wood's fund got rocked.
It did get
Yeah,
rocked.
man.
I mean
She on
that's
a
for sure.
5 year time horizon, so
Yeah.
I'm
But
just
I feel
making
like people were like,
But it was
I feel
also
like
the
people
best
got,
performing fund before it got rocked. So you
for
have
like
to,
5 years straight.
you
Yeah,
have
and
to
I feel like a lot
compare.
of the people in mainstream, like at least some of the stories I was hearing, is so many people were getting fed up with her kind of being in the spotlight that like a
but she
lot of
was
the
killing
other
it.
people were just trying to short it, like just
Yep,
trying to purposely attack because of how vocal and how open she's
Oh,
been
I
with all
mean,
of her
not
trades.
they
only were
all
they
took
trying
her
to, but they
strategy. They
they
took
opened
everything
up.
she's doing.
They basically started a short arc fund. The SARK
Hey, I
is an
bought a little bit of that for a quick second,
that's an
just for a quick
inverse
second.
ARC ETF. So
Yep,
basically, you're betting on it doing
opposite.
poorly if you buy SARC, which is really
Here's
funny.
something interesting
Hey,
right
this
now, guys, that's going on as we're filming. The Elron chain was hacked. Um,
what?
yeah, right now,
I'm a fan
let's
of
see here.
Elrod
It's
too.
Made
What?
me knock over my NFT.
right. But it was
Jeez.
saying that last night someone found a vulnerability on their Mayer decks, which this is like I looked into Elron a little bit because I knew someone in the community who was big on it. It's pretty much it's their main thing that was building. Says let's see here. They deployed a smart contract and got a hold of eGold. Then they started to sell eGold at any price available on the DEX. It's down like 8% right now, but I think it's been halted. It said once they got USDC, they bridged it to ETH, where then went to Uniswap and Tornado Cash. The Elrond team managed to stop them from taking all. And at the moment, the two wallets still hold a large amount of eGold. 384,711 and 129,035 wrapped eGold, and USDC 6.8 million. But it says is at that moment the API is down, meaning that no transactions are happening on blockchain or L1. The blockchain is still up. We board
Wait, David, is it David? I think is it internet connection or is it me? Oh, okay. David sounds like a robot. Sorry, I had to stop you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so
No, you're
I would
good.
say go back to what
It
you were
popped up
saying.
when you said that.
Now you were saying some good stuff with the board ape. I missed that part too.
I was just saying
Read
it's interesting that we just saw the Bored Ape Club's Discord get hacked, and that was a pretty big one.
it. 'Cause-
And then, and obviously now we're seeing a potential hack with Elrond, and what's going on there. I don't know all the details. I just saw Cooper Daniels tweeted it out, so I was just reading it.
they said David got hacked in the comments.
I
Right.
yeah, his sound quality got hacked. That's for sure.
Elrond didn't want me speaking the truth.
Yeah,
He
but
said
I've been
knock-
a
knock it
fan
off.
of Elrond. I used to
You know-
cover it all the time on my YouTube channel. It is one of those fast transactional blockchains, and
Yep.
but that is a surprise. I didn't know that. So they did like a halt, like Solana, or excuse me,
No.
Luna did when they was having a problem, right?
Well, the blockchain is still up. It's just
Okay.
that each block has no packages. So it's an API thing right now is down. So not the blockchain. The blockchain is still up, but I
Okay.
mean, obviously, technically, I don't know how to put that in layman's terms to explain like a year 5.
It was
But
like their file storage, like their Amazon Web Service, potentially
yeah,
is down. Basically, okay, that's pretty weird.
but obviously the hackers still have a huge amount. I mean, right now with the current price, 384. 711 times like what $68 I think is the price of eagle. That's 26 million in one wallet, and the other wallet has 8.7 million, and then USDC wise they got 6.8 million. So that's a lot of eagle that's still potentially to be dumped, because right now,
Yes,
like I said, the price is down
they got
10%. It's falling, but 10% right now on the
yeah,
day.
and they got a 1.5 billion market cap.
Yeah, we should note too, just for just to be completely clear, that it was the DEX, not the blockchain itself. So it was their
Yeah.
Maya
IR
DEX
yeah.
that had a vulnerability, and they explain how it went down here. But yeah, it's certainly unfortunate. But it seems like every blockchain, like at least one of their apps, gets compromised before they figure out like how to deploy the smart contracts appropriately.
Remember the
Right.
Tiny Man one was crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
crazy.
That's why we can't really throw stones on this one too much.
No,
Nah.
and my reason for even saying that was like, I remember when we were talking back on early shows, we would mention how it was actually kind of good that Algorand wasn't really in the limelight when the Tiny Man
Yeah.
hack happened, because that was like, imagine if it would have been having its Solana moment, right, and that big type run, and then, which I will say this, Algorand was pumping pretty nice, in comparative,
Yeah.
and that hack happened, and it literally stopped every bit, and we started trading sideways until we ultimately started falling in November. So, that is the risk you run, right, with interacting with smart contract platforms, DeFi, and all of these things. So it's like, just more of a caution still to, be always mindful of where you've got your money. I mean, obviously, I know most people probably follow us, and even us in general have ours on Folks Finance or AlgoFi, Yieldly.
A lot of AlgoFi. I'll be rocked if AlgoFi.
I mean,
gets
yeah,
done.
right.
I
That
would
would
be
that
rocked.
would hit
Well,
the
I'm out
community
the space.
hard. Yeah,
So we don't want that. So AlgoFi, keep staying strong.
Keep staying
Right.
strong. Yep, definitely. Yeah, I completely agree. In reality, this is just unfortunate growing pains in the space, and you see hacks and compromises in the traditional finance world as well. But I mean, for better or for worse, they're also able to reverse some of those transactions in which, in this scenario, you certainly can't. Which is why it's, if you do want to use, decentralized exchanges and like provide liquidity, do it to a couple dexes. Don't 100% provide liquidity to just like AlgoFi's dex. Provide some to Tiny Man, provide some to Pact, Humble when it launches and so forth. That way, in case if you do want to participate, but in case one of them gets compromised, you still have your funds spread out between two or three other ones that haven't
Right.
been compromised. So you might lose a percentage, but not all of your funds. So I mean
I,
that
I will
that's
say this too. Tiny Man was very good about compensation. So
yep.
I do understand that some of these projects and platforms are really paying attention. They really do have our back. So that was cool because I
But
was part of the Tiny Man hack slightly.
it's got to be said too that it did happen when Tiny Man, it was a $2 or $3 million hack.
Yeah,
Imagine if it was $2 or $3 billion. Would they
Yeah.
have those funds to cover
no,
compensation
I
at
don't
that
think
point? So,
I don't
it'd be
think
finished.
borderless capital is going to come in if it's in the billions to
however,
save
I mean,
everybody.
we'll leak a little bit of alpha here. We are in conversation with the people over at Nimble Insurance that are
Yep.
providing insurance to these DeFi protocols. So something like that could solve some of these issues in the future going forward. So we're hoping to have them on the show sometime soon and learn more about that because I think it is probably one of the biggest pain points for DeFi adoption is the fear that you could lose all your funds with no insurance package and no recourse to get anything back.
It's not FDIC insured, so
Yep. Absolutely. All right, let's carry on our wayward son, right? So we've got NFTs hitting mainnet.
oh
That's been pretty exciting.
yes.
Uh, if you guys, you guys have already grabbed your .algo domains, right?
Algo passive
Nice,
income network algo. I don't know what
nice.
to do with them right now, but I had to get them
I
before
actually haven't.
someone else.
I've not bought mine yet. Actually, there's a guy in the community who bought crypto for change.algo, and I was thinking about that one when the day before it went live. If I were going to buy one, but I didn't. I wasn't. I was at the beach when it launched, and so I wasn't at my computer. But someone had already grabbed it for me and is kind of holding mine. I was actually looking to get CFC.algo, but it's like ridiculously. Apparently, you get you're in a premium club if you want three letters.
Yep.
So yeah, I wasn't willing to pay some of the steep prices that I saw, but obviously, I will say with the launch, I've seen some people, paying hefty amounts for some of these domains, and obviously even buying some rather weird ones. I would say like Wendy's.algo or McDonald's. I guess they're really expecting Algorand to,
Blow up.
take
Huh?
over the world, and these bigger companies start, needing some domains. So maybe that'll pay out huge for them, but I've not solidified, I guess, what I want mine to be yet. Just primarily because it's not like I'm not transacting, massive amounts daily with other people
Yep.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I was like burning in my pocket needing to get, but it definitely is something that I love the functionality. Like if you're just walking and you're talking to someone and they're like, "Hey, I want to send you some algo," like great, send it to cryptoforchange.algo or cfc.algo. Like that's way easier than
Yeah. It
trying
is.
to, pull out a QR code or try to, write down or send them your key, your wallet address.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's
Lazy.
really cool because as you said, it helps to make things a little easier. You could just send something to, jtinvestinU.algo,
Right.
like we have right over here somewhere. You can see it right here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Um,
how's this activate? Because I haven't even tried to use it yet.
it's
Just
it's cool too because I haven't set mine up, but you can set it up to basically almost be like a social media site in some way.
yep.
So you can have like a
Hmm.
bio, banner, things like that. You go to manage over here, and you can click on gallery and see all the NFTs you have linked to this website. I mean to the address and that you have for sale, which is pretty cool. You can see your sales, your offers, your history, pretty much everything, which is pretty neat. Um, and as you can see here, we've got the next block in Algorand Mondays that I'm eventually going to link to that QR code that you see on your screen, which is a group wallet, a multi-sig wallet controlled by the three of us. If anyone feels like donating and supporting the channel, those funds will be used to, grow the
Uh,
channel in any which way, whether it be marketing or, new editing software or what
Yep.
have you. Any way we see fit for the funds to grow the channel, that's what they will be used for. If anyone feels so generous to do so, but of course you don't have to. But that being said, yeah, NFTs is really a game changer for the space for adoption, and it just kind of makes things fun. You know, you kind of have your own personalized, verified social page that's attached to your wallet address. And the cool thing is too, it turns it into a domain address. So if you type
Yeah.
in jtinvestinU.algo.xyz and then hit enter, it brings you. Well, you can set it to whatever page you want it to, but by default, it brings you to your profile,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yep, I agree. A
Try
lot of
that.
cool functionality with it. And the thing is, like, this is like already common on a lot of other blockchains to already have this, like on Ethereum and stuff. So it's a good step in bringing Algorand, so as other people maybe, with Luna collapsing, and maybe obviously I'm not saying, Elrond is going to collapse, but, Solana with it being down and people maybe starting to venture out and look for other, blockchains. It's good to have these functionalities already here and working so that they can easily integrate, the things they were doing on other chains and do it on Algo. And then once they see how smooth it is and it's fast, secure, all that jazz, it's only going to do more for the community. So,
Yeah, hey, Vince.algo. Shout out to Vince.
yep.
Nice, and
I know that was expensive.
shout out to whoever just sent us one Algorand. That's
Hey,
awesome.
there we
Actually,
go.
but yeah, absolutely. I think it is pretty cool, especially as you said. You know, we've got ENS on Ethereum that does something relatively similar. If I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken, though, just because I haven't explored ENS, just from the way it's been explained to me, it does seem like NFTs has more functionality than what ENS offers to the Ethereum folks. But don't quote me on that, of course, because I am not versed enough in ENS to say for certain.
I know they were beefing like a few months ago when they were.
Oh, I'm talking ENS on Ethereum, not
Oh
ANS, which is a
shit.
little, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Excuse
Ethereum
me.
name service. Yeah, ANS and NFTs, there is kind of a little bit of a competition there, especially because they both have the .algo domains. And it could probably get a little tricky, but it really just depends on which applications integrate them. Because here's the thing with NFTs, even though if I have this wallet set up to the next block .algo, it'll only work with whatever apps integrate that, which I believe my algo has, but I don't think Parawallet has yet. I think they're working on the integration, and I
Ah,
think Algo Signer is also working on the integration right now, but they're not fully integrated yet. Don't quote me on that as well, of course. I'm
yeah,
not a spokesperson for them, but it's just what I hear.
for sure.
Awesome. Anything to add to this discussion before we move on a little bit and talk about some speculation on consensus, Decipher, Dubai, all that jazz?
I'm good to go. I'm good to talk
I'm good.
speculation.
So let's speculate.
Let's speculate.
Some dubious speculation, as Cryptoverse likes to say. I don't know if anyone watches Benjamin Cohen, but he's probably one of the best BTC technical analysis YouTubers out there. He's got like 700,000 YouTubers, and he still has yet to even turn on monetization. So he does it all for free.
Shit.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a great channel,
Out
and
to him.
honestly, it blows my mind that he does that because he could make a decent living off of that many
I mean, he's already
subscribers.
making a decent living.
Yeah,
Right.
he's got to be.
So even like a tiny side point, like because I rewatched that Silvio and Lex Friedman interview, and he kind of even talks about how money is just like if people are free, right, to create and they don't have to worry about the money, you're not working to afford just to pay a living, right, and just to make it to the end of the week. Like, it's crazy how much your perspective on the world changes, and how much, honestly, I would say, better of a person you can be, because you
Oh
can
my
actually
god.
become your full self, right? You
Yes.
don't have to worry about like I used to make a way more money, 1,000 times more money than what I make right now. But as far as being happy, I'm 10 times happier doing what I do now, even without the money. Now, obviously, it'd be
Oh my
great
god.
to have the money and to be able to do it, but it does kind of ring that point of, if you're following people who are doing it because they enjoy it, I think you're going to get a lot better content than people who are doing it just for the money. Like, I'm just trying to make a buck so that I can go buy, flashy things and live a fancy life.
Facts. Like, I was talking to my wife about that last night actually, and yeah, because your tolerance level is higher. You
Hmm.
could be a lot more generous. Do like David just explained, you could do more things not for money, and it is a better feeling that way. Definitely, I'm not there. Yeah, I might have to do what David's doing.
Yep, yep. And
Just
we've
But
got
let's
somebody.
jump into some consensus decipher in Dubai. JT, what do you think? What are you seeing?
Consensus, I don't have too much to add to that. I think it'll be very interesting to watch. Part of me wishes I was going to be there. I wanted to go there. However, it
Yeah.
just doesn't time out too well because I'm going to Colorado very soon. And honestly, looking at the weather, it's going to be 100 degrees plus in Texas for the next 10 days. So,
Oh
maybe
wow.
I'm better off that I didn't end up making it there.
Yeah. Well, consensus. I don't know much about what's happening there. I do know it's a mixture of events, not just an Algorand event. Algorand is having, I believe, like some type of. I know Stacy will be speaking there,
Yeah,
so
Yep.
they're gonna make a big splash there, and I'm excited
Silvio's going
to.
to be
yeah,
speaking as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yep. Yeah,
Silvio. Okay, I didn't know Silvio was.
yeah, no,
I do
Algorand
know.
has some huge representation over at Consensus, and I know there's a lot of people in the community. I believe
Yeah,
Cooper's going.
yeah. Bilal's
Um,
going. I
yep,
could not make it. Definitely, I just my schedule is crazy right now.
yep.
Um,
I totally understand that.
yeah, just got back in town, so I got to leave again
I'll be
soon.
the all right, so I'll be the one to jump out and speculate. I would love to see, right? And this is, I mean, I feel like it's, Stacy has hinted at it a lot. Paul Regal has, we're waiting for state proofs, right? We're waiting for this text so that some of these protocols that have been building can actually start to implement what they're building, right? And the EVM compatibility and cross chain and all that stuff. So I would love to see more released about state proofs, right? And that maybe
Yep.
that it's ready to launch and they've got it going. So like C3 protocol, and FXDX, some of these other things can really start to get their DApps running, and we can see some more projects. I would also think maybe we get the 10K upgrade,
Mm,
or and the 2.5 second finality. Here's the thing: I wonder if they've said at the end of quarter two, and obviously we're almost to the end of quarter two. The end of June would be that. So
yeah.
there's a good chance we could see it. But if they don't reveal these big things at consensus, what's going to happen at the end of June or beginning of July? Is Algorand just going to release these upgrades on their own schedule with just a Medium article release and a press release? Because we saw how Algorand dropped the FIFA news, right? It was at the
Yep.
Milken Institute.
Yep.
Silvio was speaking, and he was like, "All right," and I'm going to welcome on the CEO of FIFA, right? And so it was like, oh, a big, and that's what led to the big run up we saw in Algo's
Yep.
price there for like a solid week, maybe a week and
Like
a half.
70 cents or something like that.
Exactly. So that is what maybe I'm thinking we get at consensus, since you're going to have Silvio speaking, you're going to have Stacy speaking. Like, obviously, there's going to be tons of community involvement. Algo Foundation today is doing some awards within the community, which that'll be more for fun and more for just people in the Algorand community. But I think there'll be a lot of cool things. But that would be my speculation, is that we see one of, I think, either state proofs, more information, and EVM compatibility announced, or I think we see the possible 10K upgrade with 2.5 finality.
Hey, what about another big partnership?
Yeah,
I mean,
Possibility.
could be
yeah,
all of it. I do think they'll tease the upgrade to 10K, but they did say that'll happen in likely July. But they also said the end of Q2, which is happening now. So it's
Right
either
now.
going to happen this month or next month. So there is a high possibility they do announce the upgrade in consensus. That actually is some pretty good speculation.
yeah. I will say this: I rewatched the video of Silvio talking. I think he was at MIT with the Sherma Capital CEO. And in that interview, when he asked about the 10K upgrade, Silvio did say in quarter three, and he didn't really make it seem like it was for sure, like guaranteed to be early quarter three, which would be July. So I don't know. When he kind of said that, it kind of made me think, man, are we going to see another possible delay
Yep.
in this upgrade? And then, kind of just maybe at consensus, we're going to hear Stacy kind of say, oh, yeah, in quarter three. And then it's going to be like, okay, well, we're not getting it in July. So now we're looking at August. And then, is it going to keep getting, the can just keep kind of getting kicked
Like the
down the
merge.
road?
I mean, it's got.
Exactly.
Well, Stacy did say at my show that merch is coming. She said they're gonna do a whole website revamp too. Um,
Right.
Oh
but yeah,
wow.
no, I hear your point. But I also, especially from speaking with Paul Regal, I understand that the reason why they don't set like hard date roadmaps and don't like publish a like complete roadmap with exact dates is because they don't want to have to be pressured to be like, okay, because I said this date, I have to release it on this day, even though the technology isn't ready. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I get it. You know, some things are harder once you start putting the pedal to the metal, are harder to create than they are to theorize, if that
Right.
makes sense. So the timelines are always rough timelines, but I do hope it does come soon because to your point, Paul Regal said end of Q2 on my show, I believe, and I've heard Stacy say July. And now you're saying you've heard Silvio say Q3, so there is a little bit of ambiguity there on when it'll be released. But that being
Yeah,
said,
I'm pretty sure.
it's the bear market regardless. Because
Yeah.
Yeah,
I personally think if they released it in June or they released it in August, it's not going to do much of a difference
Yeah.
in
It's not like we
reality, in the
need it
grand scheme
right
of things.
now. It's just
Yeah,
more or
no,
less would be
yeah.
a nice pump.
yeah,
With them too, since the way how Algorand moves, they're pretty smart. I feel like it's been done, it's already done, but they're just doing their final test, before they go. So definitely
Yeah.
something I don't think they build up right into announcements and releases. And again, I'm always seeing Algorand as that government, that big play. So it's like that 10,000 transactions might not do affect our price right now, but it would definitely be a good partnership. I'm just speculating with somebody like Microsoft to use the technology. They need big transactions. So
Right. Or even
again,
FIFA with,
speculating.
later this November, as long as it comes through,
Yeah, it's got to come
end of
through.
quarter two, beginning of quarter three, because I feel like
Oh, you know
Silvio and
what?
Paul would have a bit more hands to the ground on when that is actually going to go through. Stacy might not have that right on the forefront of her mind on the exact dates, but they probably have a better idea. And so I am still bullish, but that would be, I guess, really outside of speculation for consensus. I mean, I don't know any other big thing outside of maybe a big partnership
Decipher.
that they could drop like a Starbucks, right, or something we've not heard yet that they've been hinting at. I mean,
I
They need a
think
big corporate partnership.
I think
yeah.
we're all underestimating how big this FIFA partnership is going to be. And I know there's some things in the pipeline that have yet to be revealed to the public yet, but some big things are coming with that partnership. So I think
What
the
you
end of
know,
the year
JT?
I think the end of the year is going to be really, really interesting because
So here's one
we've got
thing.
the upgrade coming. We've got the likely, in my opinion, the bottom coming based on the time of the halving. We've got the FIFA World Cup coming. I think it'll be we got Decipher. It'll be a very interesting end of the year.
So here's one thing I want to say there with the FIFA, right? Because obviously, I didn't get. I actually got a lot of people saying in the comments that they were, glad that I was bringing some attention to the fact that the community has to somewhat stopped talking about FIFA. Right? We've just kind of like we had that big run up and everybody was excited, and then the foundation stopped tweeting about it, and thus everybody else kind of stopped tweeting about it. And yes, I get it. From what they said, well, this is their partnership as well, right? They have to, it's not all on us. They need to be doing some things. And I'm sure they are, just like we're all aware. It's not like they have to literally tell the community every step before they make it, right? They could be planning things, creating wallets, NFT things in the behind the scenes, and then getting ready to release them. But one thing I'm interested to see is what that hasn't happened yet is why is Algorand not listed on the official FIFA website as a partner, World Cup sponsor in any way?
What?
It's like crypto.com is on there, obviously all the other ones that are already partnerships, but why is Algorand's logo not? And it's not even a big deal. Like I get it, but
It's
like
a big deal.
I mean, why? Yeah, why is it not there? That would be my question.
Yeah, I don't have an answer for why it's not there yet, but I will say, when the announcement happened, of course, any marketing team is going to spend the next week or two, milking that announcement. So, they tweeted about it for 2 or 3 weeks. That's relatively standard. But then they stopped tweeting about it because they're working on their next debut for this. You know what I mean? It's not like everything is just ready to go in the moment. These partnerships happen and then they start building.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we're jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah, to answer one of the comments in the chat, is it a partnership? It's a partnership, not a sponsorship, right? It's both.
Technical
So
partnership.
yeah, we're a sponsor for the World Cup and actually a few other soccer events leading into 2023 with the Women's World Cup and things like that.
Yep.
But it's a technical partnership with the ability to create obviously wallets for the World Cup. NFTs obviously would be thrown in there, and really anything you can imagine as far as ticketing and stuff like that. So it's
Yep.
kind of a mixture of both. But yeah, you're definitely going to see Algorand as a sponsor, which that's I guess the bigger reason why I guess I wonder why that
It's not there
news.
yet. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not even like if you look at their media, it's not even that big of a, they don't like even on the front page, you don't see anything about it. So I don't know, maybe this is more or less like an embargoed thing where they're not, they have an agreement that they're not going to announce this until a certain date. But that would be my question: is why are we not seeing more from FIFA, right? At least saying like, hey, if you're so excited about this partnership from what your president said with Silvio on stage, why is Algorand's logo at least at a minimum not on your website showing as a partnership or something, right?
You got to give
Yeah,
him a
I
call.
mean,
Give him a
yeah,
call.
I'll say it is interesting. We do have a lot of time, and we
Yeah.
know a technical partnership is again behind the scenes. So
And I will
we
say
do
this
see.
too, to the, I mean, I get it. We do have a lot of time. And the thing is, with what the president of FIFA was saying is this is, and even in the blurbs, is this is something that they're looking to hopefully be a long lasting partnership, right? So even if this first World Cup, Algorand does X, Y, and Z, imagine how this can flourish, right? And be for the next World Cup, right? Or other, FIFA things like we've talked about with the FIFA video game, and now they don't have, with canceling
Yeah,
the EA Sports. So, I do get it that it's early. I'm just I'm just a hyped investor who wants, give me now, right? Give me hopium now,
hey,
right?
no patience, huh?
Yeah.
No, I mean you raised some valid points though. It should definitely at least be on this website, but unfortunately, I don't think Algorand can control that too much. That's up to FIFA to redo their website.
Yeah. So maybe we need to tweet at the marketing guy for FIFA and be like, yo, win
I
Algorand.
I'm willing to bet it's going up there soon.
Yeah. But all right, let's talk a little bit about Decipher then. So that's the next big event, right? We get past consensus, and then we got Decipher in the end of November. Stacy kind of linked.
Yep.
Is it the last week or weekend?
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be the last week, although the exact dates aren't announced. Honestly, almost similar to the FIFA deal. It's like the announcement was made on on a YouTube video or in front of a live audience, but no
The
official write up
announcement
for
of the
for.
announcement.
Yeah, exactly, exactly,
Yeah, because
exactly.
I was looking online, I can't find anything either.
Yeah.
It's
I
like it
Yeah,
doesn't
wonder. I
exist.
wonder since it's in Dubai. Obviously, this. Like, I'll say this. For some people who obviously live closer to Dubai, it might not be that expensive to get a flight over there and be there and whatnot. But one, Dubai is a very expensive place, right? Like,
United Emirates, man.
yeah.
yeah, and
People
I
all
don't.
live there.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you go there for like a 2 day thing, right? When Decipher was in Miami, it was a 2 day event. Obviously, you could have got there a day early and kind of done the pre parties and stuff. But like, I wonder if they're going to extend this Decipher event to make it more than just a 2 day. Maybe it's a whole week or 5 days. Because I feel like if you're going to go to someplace like Dubai, you're at least going to want to stay and kind of live it up and do more, I guess.
Yeah, if I go, I'll be there for at least 5 days. If we're trying to make it happen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Hey,
100%. It
I'm
would be
not holding my breath, but
yeah, I'm not holding my breath. But I did. Let me do a shameless plug. I got a new song dropping on the 22nd, and I do have a bar that's Take a Flight to Dubai, Algorand in the Sky. And I wrote this
I
like
heard it.
5 months ago. So, I did not know, but I just had this feeling. So I was like, you might as well drop it. It's called Crypto Make Me Rich, Fiat the Algo. And I know we in the bear, y'all. This is a hopium song. This is more of a like make it happen. No, I'm not, I don't own no jet. Not yet. But yeah, so just to
But
put
yeah.
one
that out.
day.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And we were talking about inflation earlier, and somebody asked a good question. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, here we are. Somebody's asking now, what is the inflation rate of Algo? I believe it's about 3.5 to 4% now, which is actually pretty decent compared to its history. It had a pretty rough go of it for the beginning. We went from at one point like 1 or 2 billion circulating supply to like 6 or something like that. So in a short span, like a year or two, the supply basically like doubled and tripled. So that was
And
a little
we're in
bit
the bear market.
yeah, well, that was also partly during the bull market too, and why some people were theorizing that we were underperforming.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we're now at about 70% tokens
Yeah.
circulation. So there's only about 30%, about 3 billion tokens to be released over the next 8 years now. So the increase on the supply is very minimal from now to the next 8 years, at least comparatively and relative to the past.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
about
feel
to get
like
slower anyway.
Oh
Yeah, I
yeah, I
feel
mean
like
it can't double like
Yeah,
it did before. You know what I mean?
2030.
There's only
yeah.
30% of the supply left. So
I feel like I don't know if maybe some of the VCs and the big investors, the whales and stuff that were early on Algorand were kind of like, hey, with what we're seeing happen in the markets, like macro and conditions, like it might be a good time to start cashing in on some of those algos and ride this wave up, because 2022 is probably going to suck and you ain't going to want to sell the algos then. So sell them now so that you can use that money to fund some of these big partnerships that you want, maybe kind of the one that we saw with
Facts.
FIFA and stuff like that. So I do think, hopefully, since this year we're going into Decipher, right, and Algo is very different, right? Last year going into Decipher,
There was nothing
everything
happening.
was pumping, everybody was excited, Algo was hitting new all-time highs, everybody's high-fiving. This year in Decipher, everybody's like, scraping the barrel to try to find dollars left because they've been buying so many dips. They they don't have
Yeah,
any dry powder left. And then you look at this, inflation, it's 6.7 billion algos, right? So now there's way more in circulation, right? And it's held up comparatively as far as market cap goes. It's lost a good chunk, but
yep.
we're still at a spot where when I first found Algorand, the market cap was like 4 billion and it was ranked 41 on CM's on Coin Market Cap. And
yep,
then we ran all the way, like I said, right to Decipher, where it was ranked like top 15 or 14, had like a $12 billion valuation. And since then we're all the way back down into the $3 billion range. So I don't know. It will be interesting to see what they do at this Decipher event, with it being in such a luxurious place. You got a lot of money there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some big names to impress
yep.
at
Yep.
at
They want the
parties and stuff like
investors.
that.
Yep. And I will definitely agree with some of these people in the audience that they should have waited until the next bull run for it to be in Dubai, in my personal opinion. I mean, I have no
Right.
issue. If I can get to Dubai, I'm fine with it. That's fine. But realistically, I do think it probably should have been.
In the bull run.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
But I
it's
mean, how could you truly would have planned that? Because I know if you're gonna throw the event in Dubai, you would need at least a year to get that shit going.
yeah.
So
No, you're
here's
right. You're right. It
So,
is. It's certainly tough, but
here
so
is
yes,
my
bull run would
here's
have
my
been dope.
like thesis on why it's in Dubai. And we kind of talked about this earlier. I feel like it's in Dubai because some of the biggest players, ASAs in the Algorand ecosystem are, and some of the biggest investors, I think, are still in
we
places like
agree. By
Dubai
the way, no, I'm
and
just kidding.
India. Right, exactly. But I think you got XCT, right? X Finite Entertainment. That is a
yeah,
big ASA for the Algorand ecosystem. They are big in India. They're in that area. So I think that's one reason why. You also have Zone, which is another one who has a lot of connections to a lot of very wealthy and prominent investors. So I think it's just something we have to consider with the fact
You
that
got to add
Algorand is
the
global, right?
Shara compliance too.
Yeah,
So they have to
exactly.
actually be in the Arab nations to really
Yeah.
get those connections. They've been building that up for 3 years.
yep,
That's
Right. There
huge.
is a lot of interesting dominoes that are falling
Sovereign
into
wealth
place.
funds. Yep.
And I'm not saying that, it's conspiracy, right, that they're there, but I do think it's
no,
still
it's
good,
good
right, that
business.
they're there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
great business. Like
It sucks for
these two
poor people
comments.
like me, right? I'm not going to be able to get to go unless the foundation wants to help us out and get our
I know
show there
Stacy
and
help us
let us
out.
do a live. I mean, here's one thing. This is my call. If Stacy watches, or if Kelly or any of the people from the foundation, right? You see the Bitcoin conference, right? Happened in Miami. Bitcoin Magazine's a huge, obviously
That's
way
my
bigger than
talent.
us. Yeah, but they're there. They're live before the sessions. They're going live. They're talking. They're getting people excited. Then obviously you switch over and you watch them, and then you come back and you debrief. Stuff like that. People love seeing commentary, right? It's just like ESPN. You love, even though you hate Stephen A. Smith and some of the personalities that are on it, you still watch it because of how loud and obnoxious they are. So
Yes.
imagine Cooper Daniels sitting next to me and you and Will, and we're all just going back and forth on what we think. It's fun and it's a great opportunity. So let's make it happen.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll add to that too. Someone in the comments, like when someone he didn't bring this up, someone else did on Twitter. So just to bring that out there, but they brought it up, and I'm like, well, like if you look at news anchors, a lot of these shows, and even what David brought up with Bitcoin, if you put people in a position, they then do blow up to help give you what you need anyway. So every
Yeah.
news anchor did not have a big ass social media following, or a lot of these interviewers they
Yep.
got put on, which then therefore brings that syndicated audience by making them official. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
Stacey,
point. That's a good point.
marketing, talk to us. I'm willing to do it. Let's go.
And I will certainly agree to all of that. And
I mean, we have
just
Stacy's boyfriend right here. I mean, JT just got to make a call.
Yeah, call her up, JT.
no, we could leave on some good note though, right here, and we'll say that even though it's it's a bear market, seems like doom and gloom currently. People are picking up algos. The people
Let's
with
go.
1K algo or more, they're increasing their bags right here. You've got 10K or more also increasing their bags, but the really interesting ones are this $10 million bags right here. As you could see, they were offloading their bags for most of May, but we seem to have reached an inflection point, and these big
Okay.
whales, these 10 million algo plus whales, started buying it towards the end of the month and now have been buying this entire month so far and increasing their bags. So they might know something. They might know something we don't know, or they're just
Yeah.
as bullish as we are and have way more money than we do, but
That's probably it.
Hey, I want to respond to a little comment too.
for sure.
So for y'all comments, make sure that y'all tag the Algorand Foundation. Let them know y'all want the next block live out in Dubai. We'll all make it happen. But just tag them, tell them, and tell them DM them. They'll
Hell
listen.
Yep.
yeah, that's a good hashtag. The next block or Algorand Mondays,
Dubai.
live in Dubai. Hashtag live in Dubai. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good one.
yeah. All right.
Perfect,
Yeah. On
perfect.
that note, right?
Yeah, do we have anything to add to this? I mean, we might have a couple comments here. Let's see. And I think we actually got to most of them. If anyone's
Yeah.
seeing anything else, if anyone has any questions, throw them in real quick. But that no, I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Certainly, subscribe if you haven't to this channel, JT Invest in You. Subscribe to David's channel at Crypto for Change. Subscribe to C Will's channel at Passive Income Network. And I believe this Thursday on the next block, we have another special guest
Yeah.
coming on. So
Yep.
you definitely don't want to miss that one. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any notifications. And if you're feeling generous, hit that donation wallet address right there on the bottom of your screen. We'd greatly appreciate that.
That'll definitely help get the next block to live in Dubai.
Yeah, it could help it. Like I said, it could be used really for anything that this channel deems necessary to help us, whether it be traveling to Dubai, or whether it be, like I said, a new editing software, or maybe one of us needs a new camera, or microphone, what have you. Whatever it might
Yep.
be, we're going to use it to try to always bring you more and better content. So we appreciate everyone that tunes in and everyone that donates, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace, y'all.
In the divide, oh, never mind. I was going to say in the divide, you'll have to stay tuned to the socials to see who it's going to be. We'll release some information here in the coming day.
We still live. We missed one too.
No, we're still live. We're still live.
Okay. Hey, any acquisitions like HDL been up to? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled.
Yeah, Headline's been doing a lot of things, so
Yeah.
that's
Seems like
really
it's
really
popping.
interesting. I know there's some people in the community that they might be a little controversial figures, but I personally, uh,
Controversial for
I,
sure.
yeah, I think people are underestimating some of the work that they might be doing. So
Shout out to Brian.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely,
and
definitely,
one more. ASA portfolio. Thanks to who gave that suggestion for Beatrix Sanchez. We're gonna definitely reach out.
definitely appreciate it, guys.
Peace.
Take care, everyone.
Ending ruined. See ya.